Olha só que beleza, estamos aqui com o elenco, diretor de Como Treinar o Seu Dragão. A animação agora virou um live action. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to São Paulo.
Thank you
so
very
much
much
for having us.
It's great to be back.
Great, that's awesome.
I know you already learned that already, but do you know by heart the name of Hiccup and Toothless in Portuguese?
No.
I know Toothless.
Toothless, you
What's
know?
Toothless?
Bengala.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we just say that.
Yeah, and Hiccup is Soluço.
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 Soluço, yeah.
It's the different
Yeah.
names because Stoic is Stoico and Astrid is Astrid. So,
Okay.
well, now you're already ready to face Brazil. And I have to say, I really like the movie. For me, it was crazy to see how, even in the live action, we could capture the feelings we had when watching the animation so many years ago. So, for you, Dean, what was your biggest motivation when you come back to the franchise?
I think the biggest motivation was just to protect the story, protect the characters, and the heart of it all. So I knew that we had the opportunity to go deeper with characters and with the mythology of the world, and maybe increase some of the immersive quality of the action. But I wanted to make sure that as far as the characters and the emotional journey go, I wanted to protect that, make sure that was always at the heart.
Did you guys get to see the movie already?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you like it?
I really
love
liked it.
I love
I
it.
did.
And you're traveling all around, of course. You went to Orlando and now here in São Paulo promoting the movie.
Yeah.
Did you know, have you ever been to São Paulo before?
No, never.
No,
been
never.
before.
I've never been to Brazil, so this
Oh, yeah?
is
Me neither.
like the first time. And I'm loving it. It's
What are
so
you
beautiful.
expecting to see here?
I have no clue what I was expecting, but it's been such like I remember the first day I got here. I think I got here Saturday, and I just went around and explored. It's been so nice, so beautiful, and the food's been really good too.
Yeah, no, of course, you've been to Brazil before.
Yes.
Doing,
Many times.
doing some promotions. What do you like about Brazil?
I love Brazilians. I think Brazilian people are so warm and friendly. I think this is one of the most beautiful countries on the planet. I've had great experiences here. I've made great friends here. I made a movie here about the 1950 World Cup in Belo Horizonte. So I shot in Rio de Janeiro. I had the time of my life. I never say no to coming down to Brazil. It's the best.
And going back to the franchise, back in 2010, when you did the first animation, you were kind of famous for being like a Spartan and calling everyone to war. And now you're part of this another family, also calling everyone to war. What do you recall from that time?
From back in 2010?
Yeah.
Oh, calling everyone to war. I think the first time that the franchise really got going for me was when this man came on board, because I was actually attached before that. But I was pontificating a lot and it was just kind of a lot of speeches. And then Dean came on and really gave me an interesting narrative and something that I could get invested in. And then I started to feel really involved in the movie, and I could see it take shape, and I could see this beautiful story form. And that was it. That was just our first little seed. And now it's a universe. It's like we're calling it the How to Train Your Dragon universe. So it feels incredible to now be calling people to war in a live action. But I'm not just calling them to war. I mean, I think we'd have to say there's a lot more to Stoic than that. And that's the other thing about live action, is a chance to really deepen and give him a way more nuanced, give everybody, I think, a more nuanced performance that is essentially more emotional and more powerful to an audience, which I think is what we have over the animated movies.
When you were called to the live action, was it a yes straight away, or did you have to think about like, I'll be able to go to the live action and not only lend my voice, but also my whole body to this character? Was there something that changed your perspective to Stoic after you fully embodied him?
That's a lot of questions.
Sorry.
I wasn't available at first, the way it worked out, but the second that Dean sent me a text to say, I'm sorry you're not available, I really wanted to do this journey with you, I just pushed this other movie, and I immediately went, wait, what? When is this happening? Hold on. Maybe we can work this out. I had zero doubt that I wanted to do the movie. It was only then did the questions come up? I was like, let's go. And then I'm like, wait, actually, hold on. How do I do? I think when I first went to the costume fitting, I was like, I never thought about this. I never thought about the size I was going to have to be.
90
And you-
pounds, right?
Yeah, and then so you want to pull. So there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on these guys. A lot of pressure, having played Stoic to take it to another level. I don't want to do this and just turn in a performance. It's like Dean. He's like, if we're going to do this, we're going to make everything amazing and push it. And so that was the challenge.
And Nico, of course, I believe that the challenge about Astrid is that she's the most badass. So from the
I would
start,
say so.
So would you.
from the start, she's gonna be awesome in the movie. So what kind of challenge do you face having to embody a character like that?
I think, there was definitely an element of for me at least, when I was growing up, I watched all of these movies and I loved Astrid and kind of just idolized her in a way. And so I think knowing how she would be perceived for a young audience felt a real pressure, because I was like, I need to be able to do and be what she was to me as a child. So having to step into those shoes in that way was quite stressful. But I think the main challenge of it was the kind of her cadence of movement was quite difficult, because I think that she kind of walks in a way that feels very strong and she does all these stunts and she's really tough, and I'm the most awkward gangly person in the world, and so me trying to do all of that stuff definitely took some real training and perseverance. But I think by the time we actually started filming, I'd say a week in, I was like, oh, I can do this, and I felt very in my element, thanks to stunts and Dean and everyone. But it was but initially very scary.
But it didn't seem like it. When you were watching, you were the baddest girl that we knew Astrid to be. So congratulations.
That's in part thanks to our stunt coordinator, Roy Taylor.
Yes, who's a genius.
Because he was on Nico like a drill sergeant.
Yes.
Work harder, you can do
I
it.
know.
You can do
I
it.
would
you
be
can
like,
do
Roy,
it."
please. I was like, yes, can do it. Yes, can do it. My stunt double, and he was like, get in there. So I was kind of constantly being pushed, but it all paid off, because I think in the movie it looks great.
It was fantastic.
Amazing. I know you're a big fan of the franchise, and I saw an interview. You said that you even dressed up as Hiccup at one Halloween. Is that true?
Yeah, when I was about 7.
So cute.
I was Hiccup for Halloween. It was Hiccup from the second movie when he had all of his armor. And I remember when the first trailer for the second movie came out and I watched it, and I was just freaking out. Hiccup was already such an iconic character, it meant so much to me, and seeing him all that armor and seeing him become like that hero. It
When he
just
takes the helmet off for the first time.
it's insane. That trailer itself it was so cool. And for Halloween, I remember I was maybe it was Kylo Ren or something that I was originally gonna be, and then I saw that and I was like, Mom, no, I'm changing. And then she just went on Amazon Prime really quick and just got the fastest Hiccup costume, so I just threw it on and went trick-or-treating. My grandma has a picture somewhere, so I still need to find it.
You need to find
It's
it,
a
because
box
I
somewhere.
looked for it and I didn't find it.
You need to find it.
I know I need to
picture,
find it. I'm kind of scared to find it now.
It's the same costume we used in the movie. We saved,
Same size and everything.
saved some cash there.
I have not changed since.
And of course, now you guys are the faces of these characters. But before that, we had the animation, of course. And Dean, how do you try to shift from the animation to live action in terms of being faithful to these characters, in terms of casting and try to find the right faces? How was that challenge?
Well, with Jerry, it was obvious. If he was available, I knew he could. He helped create Stoic, and so much of Jerry is in Stoic. So if we gave him the right costume and the right beard and everything else, I knew that he would step into that role perfectly. And then with Astrid and Hiccup, we looked at all sorts of talented actors, and many were wonderful. But what kept happening is when we started doing combinations, what we call chemistry reads, where we take our favorite Hiccups and our favorite Astrids and put them together, there was just this electricity that would happen every time these two were doing a scene together, because they inherently understand the characters. And Nico, for example, was the only Astrid who could play the character with some very mean dialogue, some very harsh dialogue directed at Hiccup. But she was the only actor who could do it without making it seem mean-spirited and cruel, And then I think Mason, he was 15 when we cast him, and he just had that kind of natural energy. He grew up with Hiccup, as he said. Hiccup was a hero for him. So I think he just understood. He understood the hurt that's within and the sense of humor that he projects and the awkwardness. And so it was all there present from the start. So it's, even though we began with many different actors, it became very evident that these two were perfect.
So you seem very comfortable doing this shift to live action. And before that, we worked with Roger Deakins in the trilogy.
Yes.
So you are surrounded by people who is really schooled in live action. So did you prepare yourself for the things that you didn't expect, trying to direct a live action movie? How's that?
Yes. Well, I've watched so many behind the scenes documentaries about how films were made. I would buy Blu-rays and DVDs of bad movies just so I could watch the making of. And so that's my whole education, is just watching movies get made, good ones and bad ones. So I had a sense of what was going to be expected. But I also surrounded myself with, veteran pros who are the best at what they do in every department. I even called Roger Deakins and he said, I'm not doing big effects movies anymore, but let me introduce you to Bill Pope. And that became like this beautiful collaboration
he did
as
The
well.
Matrix.
Yes. Yeah. And Bill Pope is also, he's a fantastic cameraman. He has an amazing eye, but he's primarily a storyteller. So he always focuses on what's important, which is the truth in the exchange of the actors. He would always tell me, forget the 300 people that are around you. Just focus on these actors and look for the truth in the performance.
And he did Spider-Man.
And he did Spider-Man.
Oh my God. By the end of every day, I would just I would see him, I would just go, and then he would do it back. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
But
That's I made a movie before, a surf movie, with Bill Pope, and our director took on Wells, so he ended up half directing that movie. So I've seen him, and whenever Dean would step away, sometimes Bill would step in with a little subtle, I'm gonna just throw in a thing to let you know. This is a way to go with this. He's very invested in
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. And Mason and Nico, you've been in other projections before, but is there anything about this big franchise stepping into it that surprised you, or that you learned during the process?
I mean, being a part of this film, I really didn't know what to expect. If I was, working with a tennis ball, or it's going to be a rough shoot, but getting there and meeting Nico and the rest of the cast, they're so down to earth and so wonderful. And I've never been a part of a production made with so much love and passion. Everybody really cared about this movie and the originals, and I think it really showed. It's really truly a magical experience. So, yeah.
I feel sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel fine. I think that for me, I feel like we all said it really early on, but the surprising thing about it is that despite the fact that it's made on such a kind of huge scale, it really felt very small and very close-knit, and really family, and everyone got along so well, and also we were just there for such a long time, and so it really did feel like everyone was very close, which I think is something that you can kind of lose when it comes to bigger projects and productions, because there is so many cooks in the kitchen, you kind of lose sight of what you're doing. But I think what was so lovely about this is everyone had one common goal and aim, which was to make a really wonderful film. And I think that, but I was surprised by how close it felt and how intimate it felt, despite the fact that we're on ginormous sets every day. It was amazing.
I think it speaks to the franchise too, that people care about these characters and these stories so much. But it also really speaks to Dean, because he was such a chieftain in himself, but with such kind of love and ease with everybody. He was like a kid being there, brilliant in his job as a director and as a helmsman, but also constantly so excited like a kid about what was going on. And I think that everybody wanted to do a great job for Dean too, which is not always the case when you're working with certain directors, but I feel like, it was definitely, like you guys said.
I remember most of the time, whenever me and Nico weren't sure with something, we would look at Dean and like, okay, if Dean's happy, we're happy.
We would say it. We would literally be like, if Dean's proud of us, nothing matters. I was
like, okay, if I think I did bad, I can try it again. And Dean walks up, and if Dean loves it, I'm like, perfect.
It's like nothing matters anymore. If Dean likes it, it's completely fine.
What is harder to do doing a horror movie as a kid, or or being an action hero like in this one?
I mean, it's completely different. You know, being in a horror movie. I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be like going into that. I thought it was going to be terrifying, but it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of trying not to smile and laugh most of the time, especially when I'm getting chased with like an axe or something. That's definitely, I don't know why I would smile in that situation, just naturally. The director was like, Mason, please stop smiling. You're about to get murdered. And I was like, yep, got it. But I would say there's a lot more prep with this type of film, especially with stunts and especially with how much, you know, hiccup and, you know, this movie means to me. So I really wanted to get it right. We had a lot of time to talk with Dean and figure out, you know, where we wanted our character to start and end and all the nuances we wanted to keep from the original and make new. But yeah, this one has a lot more, you know, weight to it, at least for me.
And I wanted to talk about something that really caught my attention was that the set felt so real because you built the whole island of work. So Dean, can you talk a little bit about the pros and cons when you're thinking about building a whole set or using visual effects?
Yeah, well, it was in every way it was like a dream come true for me of live action because we did get to build our sets, and we're, you know, in 2025, many things can be created digitally, and sometimes it's more efficient to do that. But luckily, we were still working with, you know, we were working in Belfast. We were working with the teams who had made Game of Thrones, so very talented builders and artisans, and so we were able to, take advantage of this space and build an arena, build a village, build the interior of several of the buildings. And when we wanted to go to exterior spaces, we had the Tollymore Forest, we had the beautiful coastline of the Antrim coast of Northern Ireland, and so we had plenty of authentic scenery as well. And we began the whole process by flying around Iceland and the Faroe Islands and Scotland. And we tried to find all of the most beautiful cliffs and rock formations and canyons. So it was kind of bringing it all together. But for me, walking onto set every day and seeing this village built for us and every detail is perfect, I was squealing inside because it was such a fantastic dream come true for me.
You did a documentary about Sigur Rós,
Yes.
and I believe that you like Iceland and you're from Scotland. Do you guys feel like home being there in Ireland and Belfast, that northern part of Britain?
I do. I'm definitely built for colder weather. But I think Jerry and I have spent several like New Year's Eve trips to Iceland together. And so we have a common love of that music, of the country, of the people. And I think it draws us home. Somehow we're both like Vikings deep down.
It's a funny story, actually. The first day we met, I was raving about Iceland and he was raving about Iceland. I was raving about Sigur Rós. And he says, oh, you know, Jonsi's doing the music for the movie. And then I tell him my synchronicity with coming out of my house once and listening to this song Haina and looking at it on my iPod. This was a while ago. And looking at this video as he talks about going home. And I'm like, and then I wondered then, I wonder where these guys perform. Took a walk, came across the Greek Theatre and saw Sigur Rós up there. They just performed the night before. And he says, you know, I directed that documentary. I had no idea. I'm like, okay, now our synchronicities together have begun. You know, that's when we knew we were a match made in heaven.
Yeah, for
like
life.
16 years later, here we are.
Mason and Nico, and maybe even for you, Jared. Having that set built and getting into costumes, do that things help you get into the character, or is that a process more internal for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, if it was going to be just green screens or something. Cause I've never been a part of a movie of this size, but being in those sets and seeing all of it made practical and how much attention to detail everything was made with, it's really not too hard to act. Like they really put you in that world, and seeing all the costumes and everything, even though it was so cold.
Freezing.
So cold. I mean, Jerry was sweating. But
That's so hot, yeah.
from the costume, but we were fighting for our lives in the cold.
yeah, he'd walk up, oh, I'm so hot. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It makes him like blue in the face, like it was a
Lips purple.
I noticed that in the movie that sometimes you were talking in the
breath.
Oh, yeah,
the
the
breath.
smoke.
Yeah.
I was imagining that must be so cold.
It was really cold. I remember one time Dean was like, "Make sure we see the breath," and I was like, "I do not need to try. It's just happening." Yeah.
There's so many times you have to add that in CGI.
Yeah. and
But
that-
no, we had the authentic.
It snowed on the first day of filming.
Yes.
Wow.
It was snowing.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I believe that your outfit was like 90 pounds.
It was
Is that-
90 pounds, yeah.
It's pretty much it's 40 kilos. in
Yeah.
Brazil, right?
About, yeah.
Yeah. And I had that on for 10 hours a day. And it took a long time to get on, and it took a couple 2.5 hours to get all the makeup on because the beard was in 5 parts and the wig so it took a long time, but all that time was allowing me to climb into character. You know, as I watch myself just in the mirror becoming more and more like Stoic, and then I stand and feel the weight of that armor and that costume. You know, I felt the weight of a chieftain, and you learn how to play with that, how to be commanding with that, how to play against it, you know, how to kind of stand above everybody and be that powerful force. So for sure, I loved the ability, having only been the voice for many years and only being in a studio, suddenly to be wearing that costume, even though, you know, other than the weight issues and the heat issues opposite from everybody else, I really kind of reveled in the opportunity to be transported into another world. And I'm thinking, if I'm transported right now, then once we put that through the cinematic, you know, grind, and you augment it and you enhance it, then we're truly transporting the audience into another world, which I think we do. So it was fun. It was fun to just put that on and go play.
It's really interesting because I think that fans and the audience, they expect it to be close to the animation. So in terms of acting, do you guys feel you are allowed to be more broad in expressions, trying to be more cartoonish maybe? How was that?
I think that was something I had to be for me, speaking for myself, very careful with, you know, because yeah, you do enjoy the power, and at times you can bring it up and be kind of ridiculous and fun. But ultimately, if you do that the whole time, you're giving people 3 colors instead of 30, you know. So it was ultimately about playing the truth of a character and letting the truth come through your eyes, because that's what an audience are going to go home with, that stays with them. So yeah, I was constant. I was learning that as quickly as I could to go, and with Dean as well, saying, Dean, tell me when it's too much, and tell me when it's too little, because I want to get the most out of it, but at the same time, it cannot be caricature. You know?
How do you balance that?
For me, it was the biggest education, because in animation, we can control everything about the performance. Even if we record the actors, we can cut up the lines and make our favorite version of the line and give that to the animators. So everything is controlled. But in live action, you prepare and you make sure all of the questions are answered, so that when you get there on the day, you can go through the scene with say it's a scene in Hiccup's workshop when Stoic comes to visit him. It's a very similar scene in the animated movie, but the way that they play it and let it breathe and challenge one another as actors, the whole thing takes on a different energy and a different life. And so my job then is to allow for that, make sure the camera's in the right place to capture it, because there's now magic happening in that spontaneity. And that's the best thing when you have all of your actor there, not just the voice, all of the physicality and the sense of the dance that is happening in the silences, in the dialogue, in the mannerisms. It really becomes something else.
Nice. So it's about being like a witness to that instead of doing like 70 takes.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we weren't doing that. We weren't using like the David Fincher approach. Like we were trying to allow space for the actors to play. And when I felt like we had the take, I would often say, if you want to do one, you know, or do a couple, if you have an idea and you want to try something, there's time to play. But I think because everybody knew their characters so well, that within, you know, usually like take 5, we had the best version of it.
Right.
Perfect. And Dean, we talked about the practical effects and the real set, but of course, for How to Train Dragon works, we have to have the perfect Toothless. So how was the process behind the scenes to create the Toothless and the other dragons live action, but also create something that the actors could also interact with before the CGI?
Well, this is one of the coolest parts. I didn't really anticipate it because I also thought, oh, is it going to be this awkward situation where we have like a little tennis ball on a pole and like this is the dragon? Look at the look at the tennis ball. But we know very early on we met somebody named Tom Wilton. He's a puppeteer, and he and his team of puppeteers, they're very famous. They've done theater productions like The War Horse.
So great.
And
So
you know,
good.
Life of Pi, and so they're amazing puppeteers. They can make anything come to life, a piece of paper, and so they used the design specifics of our dragon designs that we made with Frame Store. This is a visual effects company in London, and Montreal, and Melbourne, and Mumbai. But they designed our dragons, and then we made them in physical reality out of foam with a company called Stitches and Glue. And the puppeteers would then be the dragons on set. So if it was Nico or Mason or Jerry, and they're interacting with the dragon, there was always the puppeteer acting as a scene partner, not just standing there so they had eyes to look at. They were performing the dragon, and they were giving it all of the emotion and the intensity and the aggression, everything.
It's crazy how alive
Yeah.
they would all become as soon as like they would just be like on a table somewhere and you look at it and it's just like a foam Toothless head, and then as soon as Tom would get behind it, just immediately is like a living, breathing being. It's very cool.
I mean, most of the movie, like my co-star is, a dragon, and Tom was so wonderful, and getting to touch something and hear him and like he was saying, like his movements, it's so fluid, and it truly is amazing. And after like day 2, like I stopped seeing a foam head, and I really just got Toothless, which was a lot of fun.
And that, of course, became a great inspiration for the animators when they come in to replace all of the puppetry with our photoreal dragons. It gave them a good stepping stone into the performance of the dragons.
And sometimes I could like improv with Tom, and then like touch the Toothless head in a way, or like do something different. He would roll with it, and it was just like, it was so fun, and it was so collaborative, and getting to do that, and it was so much fun.
And then the last part of bringing Toothless to life, and Stormfly, the Deadly Natter, and every other dragon, was that we had, toward the end of the shoot, we had almost a month of shooting on a blue screen stage with this giant contraption that was, it's called a gimbal. It can move in 6 different axes. And on top of that, we had a robot dragon for every dragon. So the body, the neck, and the head. And it would allow, if it was Mason riding Toothless, he could get into the saddle, and we could control what the dragon was doing, if he was rising or dipping or rolling, and Mason would react with it. So we always had the correct footage of our live action actors to put onto the dragons afterward.
And that is super important as well, because one of the most iconic scenes is the fight scene between Hiccup and Toothless. So Mason, how was it for you first to build that emotional connection? Because you said it took like a day or 2 to find that. And then maybe you could talk a little bit about that too, Nicole, how to work that gimbal, because it seemed fun, but maybe a little dangerous as well. I don't know.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, apart from the gimbal, like you asked before, I think we had about a month of pre-production and I had a lot of like training sessions with Tom and puppeteering team, and a lot of like trust things we would do, and just go and get comfortable with each other, and that really helped. But the gimbal itself, I mean, it was insane. Like, I was really on that dragon, and it was dangerous sometimes. I'm wondering if I'm gonna let you tell it.
When you hurt yourself?
Yeah.
Me and Mason, well, the thing is with the gimbal is what's so amazing about it is that it really is totally out of your control, and it's in the control of someone, but it's neither of us. And so it's not ours. But so oftentimes me and Mason would kind of, it would just, if there was like a crazy flying sequence or anything, me and Mason, we have a rough gauge of what's going to happen. But a lot of the times, it's just kind of, whatever happens, happens, which is really cool because I think that you get some really authentic reactions out of both of us, which I love. But there was one scene where it's like kind of the craziest moment of flying, and we were on the gimbal, and Dean was like, on this one, like, because it's like so crazy, could you just like grab Mason's face?
And Nico gave me the scar.
No, stop.
She scratched
Don't.
my
It's not. And
Yeah, she
he was
did.
like, can you grab Mason's face? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I'm like, oh my god, I get to like punch Mason in the face. It's so fun. And so then we start.
Excuse
And
me.
so then Mason's like, your nails are really long. And I was like, they are really long. And so then I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna scratch the golden child. This is my worst nightmare. And then we start filming, and the wind's really loud, and the dragon's moving crazy, and neither of us can hear anything or really see each other, so we have no idea what's happening. And then afterwards, we say cut, and the take ends, and Mason goes like, ow. And I'm like, what? And I look at my hands, and they're covered in blood. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be fired. Like, this is awful. And then Mason was, and I was like, I'm so sorry, because I immediately thought I cut him. I was like, I'm so sorry.
This time we
He's like,
talk about it. We got no fight before the
He was
scene.
like-
She took it out on me.
and he was like, I was like, this is my chance. And he was like, don't worry, like, it's okay, it's just a scratch. It's like a full like gash and like bleeding. And he's like, don't worry, there's blood all over his face.
Yeah,
because
no,
I've
I looked
smeared
down.
it
There's a
everywhere.
pool of blood on Toothless.
And I was like, because I was grabbing his face, it's just everywhere. And I'm like, oh my god, Mason, I'm so sorry. And then we watch it in playback, and what actually happened is Mason had bashed his head on the gimbal, because it really does just move on its own accord.
Well, okay, the dragon goes like this, so it went up. So I was like, okay, the dragon's gonna go down, and I like prepare for that,
And it kept going
and
up.
the dragon did not go down. It went straight up, and there's like three little like
Screws.
three screws, and one of them just got me in the chin, and I didn't know like it was that bad. I was like, oh, that really
It was
hurt.
pretty bad.
And yeah,
So all she did was spread the blood around.
I
on
just
his face.
spread it everywhere. I didn't actually hurt him. But then as soon as we realized that it actually wasn't me, Mason was just like, that was your
It was
fault.
her.
That was you. This
No,
is your
that's going to
responsibility.
haunt you forever. But did you have to get stitches or something?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
You did?
Yeah, I got like 4 stitches.
Wait, say what happened when you got the stitches though.
Yeah, so I got there and they started putting the stitches in, and like, you know, like they have to do the numbing shot, which is like the worst part. God, I hate it. And after we did the numbing shots, he did the stitches and it was all done, and he looks at it and just goes, I can do better. So what do you mean you can do better? And he took them out and redid them.
Oh.
And by that time the numbing was gone, so I felt everything.
Oh.
And
And
yeah.
none of it was my fault.
And by the end of it, he was still like, it'll do. And I'm so sorry, you did it twice, man.
Well, I guess
It's
you're a
okay.
real Viking now. You've been
Yeah.
through everything.
Did you get opportunity to play with the gimbal, or we're expecting for the second movie to see that?
No, I left that to the kids. Thank God. I mean, I don't. You guys should talk about the training you had to do on the gimbal, because I hear it was a nightmare getting used
Yeah.
to the very specific movements of the
There was
the
one
dragon.
rig that spun
You will know
all
soon
around.
enough.
Yeah, don't worry.
I mean, every day we had an amazing trainer. She would come and like stretch me out before, because I'm sitting on that gimbal for like probably 9 hours
Be
a
able
day.
to do the
and
stretches.
my legs completely stretched, so in case like I got a cramp or something. So she was fantastic, and then most of the time I was just strapped in. So it was just kind of like getting used to it, but I was still having the best time. So yeah.
Speaking of that, are you guys into pre-production already? Some previews for the second movie? How's that being planned?
No, I'm just writing right now, but we will move quickly. But I'm writing the script at the moment.
All right. So, what lessons did you get from the first movie in terms of adapting the second movie into live action?
I think our ambitions for the first movie were to expand a little bit on the mythology and to deepen the action, but also to and give more dimension to the characters where possible, Astrid in particular, but definitely the relationship between the father and the son. That was something we gave a lot of emphasis to. And all of those feel like they're additive in the first movie. So I think I'm trying to take that spirit forward because there were things in the second movie that I wasn't satisfied with. So I would love to go back and correct and add more depth and add more character dimension in places. So it's an opportunity to, go back in and get another pass at everything without throwing out the whole story.
That's really,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Did you feel that your first How to Train Your Dragon was kind of right on tone, or kind of perfect? Did you feel it had to change a lot?
You mean the animated film?
Yeah.
The animated film was made in a rush. we only had 15 months, Chris Sanders and I, from the moment that we joined, and had to write a new story and then get it done and in cinemas. In 15 months, that's not very much time for animation. So we moved quickly, and I'm very proud of the film, but I do think that maybe some of the other characters, the other teenage characters, didn't get as much love as they could have. And there were just places where we could have gone a little bit deeper and richer with the action, with the background. Why is this tribe even on this island? Where did they come from? What is their mission? Like, those were questions we could answer in the live action version.
Yeah, and that happened. I love that It's Not Loud had a father now. And even Astrid, as you said, she has like, I feel like more ambition. And I love how she is always like, you're kind of a Nepo baby too.
Yes, yeah.
No, coming from the Nepo baby of the situation.
Yeah. But it's true. She had to work for the status that she now has.
Yes.
She wasn't born into it. So it's the basis of her resentment for Hiccup, because he doesn't have to try, and he's already the chief's son. He's already poised to succeed. And what it does is it gives Astrid something to sacrifice when she decides she's going to side with Hiccup. She's now letting herself fall from grace in the eyes of Stoic. So it just adds more emotion, more dimension.
He's good. He's good. I give him that.
No, definitely. And I was thinking about how the movie now is going to reach more children, because of course it's going, everyone who saw it in 2010 are going to want to see the live action, but maybe more children will get to see it. And having Astrid as this figure is so important. I always love a good female character. So can you talk a little bit, Nico, to embody that and having this representation for young children?
I mean, I think it's so important. I think it's so important. I mean, I remember thinking a lot when I first got asked to audition, just the thing of like, if I don't know how old I was when it came out, 15 years ago, 5? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm asking you.
Like I would know.
Yeah, really good at maths. When I was younger, I think that if I had known then that I would even be considered to be playing that part, I would have lost my mind. And so I do think that it's really important to have strong female characters. And I remember when me and Dean initially spoke about it, I was so appreciative of even the idea. I mean, I would have been a tree in this movie. So the idea that we could even kind of bulk her character up and give her more drive and ambition felt really special. And I hope it's something that resonates with audiences and with kids. And yeah, I think to see like a piece of yourself or something that you could strive to be on screen is always really special and a really brilliant part about filmmaking. So hopefully that's something that comes from this, but we'll see.
Yeah, sure. And talking still about kids and the children, do you have already any good interaction with children regarding your characters? Dean, you probably since 2010, and Jihad as well. Because I think it's so cute when they see like a cute character and they want to interact with it. Mm-hmm. Do you have one of this story in mind?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we did a lot of promotion and press tours and engagements with fans after the movies came out, and so I met a lot of people who they both boys and girls and people in their teens and their 20s. They really related to Hiccup, especially because Hiccup represents the outsider. He's somebody that doesn't feel like he was born into the right world, and feels the pressure to become like everyone else in order to be accepted. And the journey for his character, obviously, is that he starts to trust his own heart and his own instincts, and eventually the world changes to accommodate him. And I think for a lot of people that's a hero that we can root for, because it's somebody who's brave enough to withstand the ridicule and the mockery for being different. But in the end, it turns out to be the best thing. Like what is seen as a weakness in themselves is actually a gift to the world.
I really like the trilogy because, of course, I know the live action movie because it plays with archetypes. You're talking about being the outcast. You're talking about a family, but it plays like the most complete way about these archetypes. So, do you feel that? I mean, the world is changing. This idea of family is changing. Do you feel that a movie like this can endure time? Getting to people's emotion, getting to people's hearts, playing these archetypes?
I think so, because it's at the end of the day, it's about looking beyond what you've been groomed and conditioned to believe. So I think if you can have an open your mind and be able to, in this case, Hiccup learning about dragons and finding out what the real problem is, instead of just believing that they all need to be killed. There's something there that can apply to, I think, our whole world. It's just being less quick to judge and a little more open-hearted and understanding.
Nice.
Can you also talk a little bit about the message that you took from the movie and you expect the audience to take as well?
Yeah, I mean, watching the movie as a kid, I mean, it was so magical. It was so heartfelt, and you just kind of left with some, some magic, and I really hope a kid can go to the theater with their mom or dad and sit and watch the movie and leave and feel the same way I did as a kid. It was just so wonderful, and it's just a movie you can always go back to and feel the same way as you did when you watched it for the first time. So, hopefully.
Yeah, I think in this world now, it's such a beautiful sense of escapism, this movie, but also with a really positive message. Whether it's about, as Dean said, learning to march to the beat of your own drum, or about tolerance to others, kindness, or even the older generation learning to pass the torch to a younger generation who have different beliefs and values. And I think it touches on so many things that you come out of there very entertained, but also with such positive messages from the film. I do think you kind of want to go out and be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Mason, you said that Hiccup was a huge character for you. Did you already think about that you are going to be this character for so many people now? Do you see yourself like this model?
I mean, it's so weird.
Both of you,
strange to me.
Yeah.
Both of you,
And
they're going to be such role models for a young generation growing up.
I mean, the same way Hiccup, was such a hero for me as a kid. Just the chance that maybe I could be that for somebody is everything to me. And I can't wait for people to see her and see how awesome she is, especially as Astrid.
We've all been saying it from the beginning, but I do think Mason is like the part. I mean, I can't wait for people to get to see how brilliant he is in this movie. But also, I think that how exciting for a whole new generation of kids that's the Hiccup that they get to have. I think is so special. And you couldn't ask for a better one. So it's very, very cool.
This is Astrid next to us. And Stoic. This is
the story.
And it's funny because most of the movie, you're just by yourself. And you have to play with the gimbal or the tennis ball and the woods. And of course, most of the time also, you're having to have this reaction, that is comic reaction for everything that's happening. Does it feel solitary sometimes?
I mean, especially because the first, more of the Toothless stuff was towards the end of the shoot. So most of the beginning of the shoot was, I was working with Nico and Jerry, and it was so fun and so incredible working with, you're only as good as your scene partners. Working with these guys, it was so fun, and I've learned so much. And then to go from that to a fake dragon, it was weird at first, but like I said earlier, it took about 2 days, and then it just kind of felt, when it was just me and Toothless, especially in the Cove, it just kind of felt right. Like the lighting was right, and it was just me, and it was silent, and there were a lot of long scenes, especially when I first come out and I give Toothless the fish, and that scene especially, I think that might have been the first one we shot in the Cove, and that was so special. And after that day, I was like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. And Tom, of course, and the puppeteering team were so incredible. So yeah, all those scenes, it just kind of felt nice. Wasn't too, wasn't too sad. Of course, I miss them, but it was nice.
We reunited on the gimbal.
We did reunite on the gimbal.
I have to say,
Spinning
he makes it seem like in the film when you watch, it's so effortless that people might be confused or tricked into thinking it's easy. And as somebody who's made a lot of movies, what he had to do in his movie, I think, is so tricky because you're literally standing on your own and you are having to, even if you have the puppeteer, you're still dealing with a creature that is not quite alive, and you're having to make that meaningful or entertaining or funny or silly and give it so many colors. And I think he did it so wonderfully that as again, you watch the movie and you go, oh, it's fantastic, but that's not easy. That's really like you pointed that out. I'm so glad you did point that out because it's true. A lot of the movie, he doesn't have scene partners really, and he's got to kind of create that all out of nothing, just him and Dean, and that's the magic and the heart of this movie.
Definitely. And now, guys, we have the second movie confirmed. Is there a particular scene or moment that you are most excited to do or watch in the next movie?
Do you have one?
I guess I can say something 'cause I'm talking about the original. But
Yeah.
okay, I've told Dean about this. I just want to wear the armor. I just want to have the armor.
You just want a cool outfit.
I just want a cool outfit. I want a cool costume.
We hopefully you won't be cold anymore with the armor.
Hopefully not. If so, I don't care. As long as I look
As long
cool.
as you look
so,
cool.
Style points.
It's part of the performance. You have to be cold.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
It honestly
it's not-
works for
not
Hiccup.
authentic.
Yeah. No, especially with like some of the other characters, like Snotlout and stuff. You need to walk around and be all tough, and especially you too. Like
I'm freezing to the
I
bone.
know, but like I was shivering and everybody else was. But like for their performances, like they toughed it up. They were walking around how strong they were, and for Hiccup, I kind of used it. Like it's
One's
just
so
like
tiny and cold.
so tiny and little and cold. No, it kind of worked for Hiccup, especially his just his nature and his body language. Which is actually one of the things I really wanted to keep about Hiccup, and like the way he runs in the animated movie, like jumbles his arms. That was really fun to do, and
But
just
now
stuff
you'll
like
get to
that.
be in some cool armor.
Do you have one, Nico?
I don't know. I mean, I think as a kid, I
Bigger
think
boots.
that bigger boots. As a kid, I think my favorite films from the franchise, I think, was probably the second one, just because you're already all so into that universe, and so I think it's you already love the characters so much, and so you're already right there. So I think I don't know if there's a specific scene that I'm the most excited for. I just think it's so epic. I mean, we were speaking about it at dinner yesterday. I just do think that it's like everything has kind of just been pumped up, and I do think that it feels epic. Kind of feels like the perfect way to describe it. And so all of the stunt stuff feels bigger, and the flying sequences are bigger, and I'm excited for all of it. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Good. And guys, now we're finishing. We'd like to play a little game. Are you competitive?
Yeah,
They are.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
No, my God.
We're gonna fight.
I'm not, as long as I win.
Well, I think it's going to be easy for you. It's a game, Guess the Dragon. We'll give
Oh
some
my God.
characteristics, and the first one to know
Got it.
the dragon.
Got
it.
Answer. Okay.
Don't even look at
All
me.
right,
Don't
let's
look at me.
let's start this thing.
That's gonna be pretty annoying.
Okay, first one. It's a very
Night
large.
Fury.
Oh my God.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
Wait, no.
know?
No, but I already know what it is.
First one.
I know.
Well, he hasn't
No,
even
but
said
do it.
anything
But I
yet.
know. But we've made eye contact. I know.
Okay, this is kind of gonna be easy. So,
Yeah.
it's very large and exotic dragon due to a big characteristic in its body.
Meat lug.
Nope.
Due to a big
Red Death?
characteristic in his body.
Yeah,
It's mainly green.
it's mainly green.
That is meat lug, isn't it?
Is it a dragon in the movie?
Oh,
yeah.
we're talking
Oh,
about
the kind of dragon.
The kind of
Oh, a
dragon.
Gronko.
Bronco.
No, yeah.
Green?
Hideous Zippleback?
It's got two heads.
Hideous Zippleback.
Zippleback, yeah.
They said two heads. Oh, no, you haven't.
I said it before. You heard me. All right.
We'll see you later. on that.
Winning is winning, all right? Yeah,
Go for
that's
the
true.
second.
Okay, second one. First.
Night Fury.
You get it?
Eventually, you'll get it.
It has a spiky crown and a big head. It had an incredible
Red
sense
Death.
of smell.
I
Yep.
knew
No.
it, Mason. You have to let them finish.
No,
Sorry.
no. He said jump in when you know.
No, it has an incredible sense of smell and magnesium fire.
Deadly Natter.
Deadly Natter. Yeah, all right.
God damn.
That's actually integrated. You gotta step up your game.
Okay, third one. Small wings.
Night Fury.
Bronco.
Bronco.
Bronco. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See? Small wings, Night Fury?
I was just saying what Jerry
You
was
don't know
saying.
a thing.
That Bronco would feel so insulted. It's like the second you say small wings, you pick me.
Tiny, tiny wing.
Tiny wings.
Okay, so 4.
Night Fury.
Yeah.
Good. But what are the
I wanted
characteristics?
to give you this one.
What are the characteristics? I wonder.
It started with cat-like eyes, and then
Oh,
it
we
prefers
got
to
that
attack at
instantly.
night. You'd get
That's
it
not fair. We're all
easily.
just shouting Night Fury.
Yeah.
You guessed that right. Guys, thank you so much for this. It was
Thank you.
awesome.
so
Really fun.
much.
Really
Thank
fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
And also, congratulations on the movie. It was really good. I loved it. It brought back the feelings, as I said, and I can't wait for more people to watch it.
Thank you very
you
much.
so much,
Thank
Yes,
guys.
I hope the people of Brazil respond well to it.
Oh, definitely. You will love
Better.
the character.
Better.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.